Yes, a very good evening once again. Thank you so much for tuning in to the second edition of News Tonight. It's me, Michael Jordan Lukoma, and we'll start right away with what we have for you this evening. President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni on the 3rd of May received a special message from the King of Eswatini, His Majesty Mswati III. The message was delivered by Eswatini Prince Lindani Nkosi during a sideline meeting of the African parliamentarians with the President at State House in Entebbe. The Prince's visit to Uganda coincided with his participation in the second African Interparliamentary Conference. Honorable Sarah Opendi, the conference chair, highlighted Prince Lindani's presence and the significance of King Mswati's message to the President, Yoweri Museveni, as she introduced the Prince to the President and gave him a platform where he presented the message, the special message from the King to His Excellency, the President. Prime Minister Robin Nabanja has called upon all young people to embrace vocational training in order to reduce on the unemployment problem in the country. Nabanja says that government is focusing on equipping the youth with tools they need to succeed and to ensure they are job creators. She was officiating at the graduation ceremony of 450 youth who were undergoing skills development at Bunyoro Industrial Hub in Masindi District.
22-year-old Abdul Madid bin Adam Tindiebwa, a resident of Hoima district, dropped out of school. His mother could not pay his school fees to further his education. Tindiebwa learned about the Bunyoro Zonal Presidential Industrial Hubs, where he trained in bakery. Tindiebwa is now a chef at one of the hotels in Hoima after he attained the vocational skills. Bunyoro Zonal Presidential Industrial Hub is among the 18 hubs established across the country by the President to impart practical skills to the youth in order to solve the rampant unemployment. The tutors here say the skills acquired, irrespective of one's background, are equivalent to senior force certificate recognized internationally. The Prime Minister, Robin Nabanja, urged all young people to embrace vocational training to address unemployment.
Through his wise leadership, has come up with a number of government programs to help you. And now I want to use this opportunity to inform you that when I go back to Kampala, I will coordinate all the relevant ministries. For the ladies, we have a GROW program. That's a World Bank funded program. It has both a grant and a loan. A loan at 6%. Are we together? And so you don't need to go to money lenders to borrow. So I just need to see the coordinator of GROW in this district and all the districts across the country to help our youth who are graduating from here to see that they get access to that money.
Each learner was awarded with a certificate by the Directorate of Industrial Training. I'm Navka Farida, reporting.
Ministry of Internal Affairs, in collaboration with Interpol Thailand, have repatriated 21 Ugandan victims of human trafficking. The repatriation follows numerous complaints of Ugandans stuck in Myanmar after being trafficked. On this cause, Sabuka Edith has been apprehended as a suspect for illegally trafficking Ugandans abroad.
The Ministry of Internal Affairs, together with the Thailand government and other non-governmental organizations, have successfully rescued 26 Ugandan victims of human trafficking, and these are currently safeguarded by authorities in Thailand.
They are in the right hands of authorities in Thailand. This has been a process, continuous negotiations, and also, of course, carefully ensuring that their lives are not risked at all. Because remember, you mentioned if we risk their lives, they can easily be killed by the rebel gangs there.
With government's ongoing efforts to curb human trafficking activities within the country, the Ministry of Internal Affairs, with support from Uganda Police, have arrested Sabuka Edith as a suspect for aiding the trafficking of persons.
This one managed to come back into the country on 27th of April, but the good news, she has been arrested. She's in police custody. So we hope that when our people finally return, we shall start off with her case.
In a similar operation, the UPDF have rescued 4 Ugandan nationals from the South Sudan borders after being abducted by a group of South Sudanese rebels from Oyam in Kitgum district.
The 4 rescued victims were abducted while gardening in a place called Kabongum, and these include Longaren, Amien, Ayela, and another one. We are happy to see to it that they were rescued and are back home alive.
Meanwhile, the Directorate of Criminal Intelligence (CID) are calling upon the public to assist in identifying torture perpetrators following the viral circulation of torture videos of an unidentified woman on the internet.
In the videos, there is a vulnerable woman dressed in a blue blouse and black skirt or short. She's subjected to torture where she's carved in an awkward position, her hands and legs tied together, and the perpetrators of violence were continuing to burn her body with hot melting droplets from a plastic jerrycan. If anybody knows them or if they are out there, we also call upon them to come forward and help our detectives explore the torture in great detail. We shall not stop until the alleged perpetrators are identified and brought to justice.
Police cautions both local and foreign tourists in Jinja to remain vigilant following the surging cases of theft and burglary by organized criminal gangs. Patricia Nandago and Rogers Komagum for UBC.
The Uganda National Roads Authority has clarified that they are only going to rectify defects on the bridge of Karuma as emergency works to aid the continuity of transport as government finalizes preparations for the construction of a new bridge there. The head of communications UNRA, Alan Sempewa, says that the repair works for the bridge are anticipated to be complete within 3 months.
Karuma Bridge was constructed in 1963 to aid in transportation of cotton from Masindi and Gulu, West Nile region, to Mwanza textiles in Jinja. The 61-year-old bridge has been the biggest single carriage bridge facilitating passage to West Nile, northern Uganda, and across neighboring regions.
Especially underneath the bridge structure, from the approach Gulu side of the bridge and the approach from Kampala side.
Due to overloading and depreciating lifespan, the bridge has been weakened and fewer repairs have been done to keep the bridge safe. In the emergency response, Uganda National Roads Authority closed the bridge to heavy cargo, leaving only lighter vehicles carrying low tonnage of at least 28 people to use the bridge.
We're avoiding a scenario where we have to load the bridge with heavier traffic, yet we haven't fixed that problem. So let's first fix the challenge we are posed with right now, and then we'll reinstate the traffic flow.
Inspections and diagnostic studies to ascertain the damages on the bridge, required repairs and costings are currently being done by MBW consultants before it's handed over to the contractor for commencement of repairs.
We are now in a brainstorm session together with the consultant to try and establish what exactly needs to be done.
UNRA spokesperson Alan Sempewa says repairs are only focusing on rectifying the defects on the bridge to sustain it until the new proposed bridge is complete.
We are intervening to rectify those defects so that the bridge is able to take us some more time, a few years, until we are ready with a permanent bridge crossing at that section of the highway, because we already have plans for a bigger bridge, bigger, longer and permanent bridge.
Emergency repair works are expected to be done by the local contractors yet to be identified, and work is expected to be complete within 3 months.
We have a local contractor. MBW Consulting, who has done the diagnostic survey and investigations on the bridge structure. Then we shall then pick on a contractor. Of course, we have to look at a contractor that has resources, has the capacity, and can do this job or has done it before.
Trucks will enter and exit West Nile through Gazette alternative roads.
Driving from Kampala to Gulu, while at Kafu they shall branch off to Masindi, then Maxon Falls National Park, Pakwach, Olio in Noya district, then access Guru.
Accordingly, police has advised motorists of heavy cargo to use Kafu off to Masindi, then to Maxon Falls National Park, to Pakwach through Orio in Noya district for those heading to Gulu and coming from Kampala.
So also apply to all motorists driving from Gulu to Kampala, and these diversions are at Custom Corner on Anaka Road.
Plans and studies for the construction of the new Karuma Bridge are also underway.
We have already earmarked funds from the Japanese government. They are doing their own studies at the moment, and as soon as those studies and approvals are done, we should be able to implement a bridge at that section.
The new Karuma Bridge is expected to be funded by the Japanese government. Susan Naung and Joseph Bule reporting for UBC TV.
Speaker of Parliament Anita Among has expressed need for Uganda National Roads Authority to expedite the works on Karuma to restore the bridge as fast as possible. She appealed to transporters not to hike fares. This was during the sitting of Parliament, where she cited a public notice from UNRA that the bridge has deteriorated, and starting the 6th of May, which is today, access will be restricted to only passenger vehicles carrying at least 28 passengers.
Friday last week, Uganda National Roads Authority put out a public notice that some elements of Karuma Bridge structure have deteriorated. UNRA closed down the bridge to heavy traffic starting May 6th for 3 months. Only passenger vehicles carrying about 28 people could access it. Alternative routes have been provided.
They have the capacity to fix what has gone wrong here. So those people will be directed to start work. The technicalities will be handled retrospectively.
Implore government to deploy security on all the alternative routes that have been created, because the highway robbers can take advantage of this.
Of the escalation of the travel charges, especially by the buses. For example, the proposed bus fare for Obongi to Kampala is going to double from 50,000 to 100,000.
Vehicles must pass there only during day. Most of the heavy vehicles normally travel at night.
And Madam Speaker, it is very risky. And I would think that the government need to divert all the roads. They should not leave only the small car to pass via there, because you don't know the magnitude and the capacity of the cracks.
The Speaker of Parliament, Anita Among, told a sitting of Parliament that this will come with implications of cost and delay, asking UNRA to expedite the works.
That it is going to increase the cost, but that should be avoided. And UNRA should do its work as fast as possible to ensure that we restore the bridge.
Nakaseke District Legislator Lutamaguzi said UNRA needs to check other bridges that are deteriorating on River Mayanja and on the road coming from Kanoni, Mitiana and Busuju.
A bridge on River Mayanja that connects Nakaseke to Mitiana, it has already carved in and vehicles are no longer passing.
It is not only that bridge. The bridge on Muchiragwe is caved in. The bridge on Kokatimba on the same road is not there.
Other members recommended hiring competent people to work on the bridges, while others say UNRA should provide a reliable ferry as an alternative.
That we ring fence this money specifically for ferries if we want to solve this matter.
Provide reliable ferry as an alternative from the Masindi port to Congo.
To Congo.
Because the ferry that has been there in the past has not, first of all, it is not reliable and it has very limited carrying capacity.
Getting another ferry and increasing on what is there and the timing is very, very important, because it will help us for people going to Lango region, even going to Acholi.
The Speaker raised the issue of disasters like the floods in Kenya, asking the Minister for Disaster Preparedness, Uganda's readiness to avert the consequences. The legislators, including the Leader of Opposition Joe Senyonyi, asked the Ministry of Disaster about enacting the Disaster Management Bill and establishing the Disaster Commission.
It rained from Friday through Saturday up to Sunday. Just imagine if it remains the same for the next 2 weeks. What will happen in Uganda?
Commission in place, let the bill be brought, and then we can discuss the idea of giving you money when we know the docket to which exactly it's going, and then we hold you accountable.
The best thing we need to do is to allocate money to the office of the Prime Minister, especially the Minister for Disaster. And if you look at the budget now, you have forgotten allocating enough money for climate change department.
We need a budget. We can't do anything as a ministry if we don't have the budget. So far, I have requests from members, over 30 from 30 districts, and we are not able to do much. Right Honourable Speaker, I would request this House to support the ministry with the relevant funding.
Plus, much as we are here lamenting, there is no money, and we need to provide money for that.
I'm Nafka Farida and Dan Lugemwa in Parliament.
Yes, still to do with Karuma, starting today, the 6th of May, traffic flow across the bridge will be restricted to allow rehabilitation works. Heavy trucks and trailers from the North and the West Nile region, plus vice versa, that is Kampala side, will be redirected, allowing lighter traffic on the bridge. The Murchison Falls National Park Road is one of the alternative routes. We spoke to the Uganda Wildlife Authority spokesperson Bashir Hangi on the new directive and their preparedness as an entity to handle the increased traffic around the park.
It's the first day of the implementation of the Uganda National Roads Authority directive on the rehabilitation of the Karuma Bridge that is expected to take 3 months. The Public Relations Officer, Uganda Wildlife Authority, Bashir Hangi, told UBC that they will handle the traffic redirected to the Murchison Falls National Park route. Now, Mr. Bashir, you spoke about protecting wildlife. How exactly are you going to enforce these laws or regulations to ensure this?
Yeah, we understand that we are going to be having a lot of traffic on this road, but also we are up to the task because, look, the protection and conservation of wildlife is our trade. This is our mandate. If we fail this, then we will have failed as an institution. So we have adequately prepared personnel who will monitor the movements of these vehicles. For those who know, or those who may not be knowing, we have speed cameras in Murchison Falls National Park. So they're able to tell us the speed at which you are driving.
He emphasized that motorists need to adhere to the protected area guidelines. These include driving at a maximum speed of 40 kilometers per hour, not littering, and avoiding unnecessary stops in the park.
The idea of stopping over all the time has its own risks because you are moving in an area where there are so many animals, and these animals are wild and dangerous. And as such, would not allow you to stop as and when you want, except for emergencies. And in the event of emergencies, we are always there to come and ensure that you are protected, ensure that you are safe, and help where we possibly can. So these, and of course the other aspect is that when you're driving inside the park, you can only drive through the park during the day, okay? Our gates open at 7 a.m. and they close at 7 p.m. So we do not allow any person to drive at night.
All vehicles entering the national park will be required to pay a park entry fee, except for those specifically prohibited from using the Karuma Bridge as per the Ugandan National Roads Authority directive.
This category of vehicles, the trailers, the lorries and buses, are allowed to go through the park at no fee. We have waived payment or park entrance payment fees for these trucks. So they will come and they'll go through the park without having to pay any fees.
Karuma Bridge is closed to all lorries, trailers and buses. Only passenger vehicles carrying up to 28 passengers are allowed to use the bridge. UNRWA anticipates the intervention to be completed in 3 months. Maureen Babidie, Dennis Sigoa, reporting for UBC News.
Mixed reactions engulf the special plenary sitting today as legislators disagreed with a number of government proposals to impose additional tax which directly affect the low-income earners. The marathon session witnessed a heated debate throwing out the additional 300 shillings tax proposal on kerosene, among others. A minority report of the Parliamentary Committee on Finance put the government on pressure to produce the list of people to benefit from the tax exemption as proposed in the Income Tax Amendment Bill of 2024.
Let me give my information, then you give yours.
The way you like.
This was part of the back-to-back foul mode as members of Parliament keenly paid attention to the new legislation to increase the domestic revenue in Uganda.
Madam Chair, I have consulted.
Each tax bill contained various proposals which to the legislators seemingly intend to exploit millions of Ugandans under the low-income group.
This information I am giving is from East African Community Tariff Regime as per 2023 on excise duty.
The House did not reach an agreement on imposing additional tax on fuel, including 100 shillings on both petrol and diesel. The report of the Parliamentary Committee on Finance on the Excise Duty Amendment Bill 2024 rejected the 300 shillings additional tax on kerosene.
Right, Honourable Speaker, at this stage, in this state of the economy, nobody should be talking about an increment of fuel tax, because we are affecting every single transaction that takes place in this country. When we increase a value on fuel, we are affecting every transaction that takes place, and this is why we are being unfair.
The other controversy derived from imposing a 0.5 charge on agent banking, where the MPs disagreed with the proposal. The Committee on Finance had, however, agreed that digitalizing financial transaction is vital and the tax on agent banking is an equal treatment to the beneficiaries of mobile money services.
This agency bank has tried to create jobs for the youth, and the profit margin is very, very small, very, very small. Let me tell you.
Here, Right Honourable Speaker, you remember, we suffered with the government to fight the tax that brought on agency banking. I'm wondering why government is fighting to bring it back, instead of promoting agency banking so that we open many outlets. So, Right Honourable Speaker, we requested the Minister to withdraw that tax that he wishes to put on agency banking.
Thank you.
The MPs resurrected the past history of tax exemption where the Bujagali Energy Limited has on several occasions benefited. In the Income Tax Amendment Bill 2024, Bujagali reappeared seeking for a 1-year extension of tax exemption of the corporate income tax.
Let us now take leverage of the dams which we have built and refuse this extension of Bujagali. Because what is happening, Right Honourable Speaker, is becoming impunity.
Because you are paying already them on their capital investment, they pick it and take it out. All the money they bring in loans, they pick and take it, it's exempt. Their capital, they pick it and take it. And we're coming and telling them that now, again, we're exempt. I've failed to understand up to now.
What we needed to hear from the ministry is how far they have gone with the audit. Because we are going to be pushed into a corner to say we reject, and then government will turn around and say your parliament is the one that has led to the tariff to rise.
We need to insist and say, let that audit be done. If it is our fault that that audit has not been done, then let's check ourselves and fix that issue, because otherwise then we might make 2 mistakes.
The minority reports disagreed with the status where the MPs tasked government to produce the list of the beneficiaries of tax exemption, citing invisible hand.
I do not know why they keep holding on to that list. We have tasked the Minister of Finance severally to table here a list of all the beneficiaries of tax waivers.
That you can't have a bill that seeks to raise 40 billion and in the same bill you are exempting more than what you are seeking to gain. So
the Minister of State for Finance, Henry Musasizi, made a commitment to the House to reorder an audit of the Vujagali Energy Limited as per the previous recommendations of Parliament.
The audit has delayed.
Lop is asking how much time?
I want now to commit to persuade this audit within 6 months from now.
6 months.
Within 6 months from now, we have this audit in place.
In the Income Tax Amendment Bill 2024, the MPs rejected the proposal to introduce 5% tax on non-business assets like incomes from all factors of production, including land.
There is already a capital gains tax arising from the sale of shares in the private limited liability company provided under Section 21K of the Income Tax Act. Imposing a rate of 5% will cause a conflict in the implementation of the provision.
The tax legal framework is among the government's strategies to increase the domestic revenue mobilization.
Plus the VAT.
Daniel Mugoya, UBC News.
No money is lessened.
MTN Moment kutusaka Bosi live in concert kujahazi PM Nyonyo Mo hip hop kuna rubale Kumkanga 18 Mei 2024 Ena fefe Bosi weekend Kama koma rapo na yini freestyle Jangola mwana wakulu kutemi kama ngaliga sasa liva mchamba Misana na chino katuli marapu melele Poking mtwale bidi Viepi mtwale tano Emeza kakande Emeza vivia milioni satu Downloading MTN Momo app Osaliwe kebijula 5 kubuli chikumi kutiketi Woguli kwa MTN Momo Tiketi ya gula mtwale gumo Ade VIP Ebini chitundu Tulina debote cruise See you looking Itedwa musente MC MTN Momo Give our establishment the angry management.
Over the years, we've dreamed to get onto the world stage. We've had that dream crushed. We've witnessed a total defeat of what could have been our greatest moment. We've felt our spirits go up, only to take a hard fall. We've had our fires burn out and leave only scars. We've seized the wind and had it pulled from our grasp. We've seen pain and we've seen loss of the last fragments of hope. But we are made of resilience, and resilience never stops dreaming. So we will dream even bigger with the Cranes Cup Bowl 2026. Together, let's take Uganda to the next FIFA World Cup.
Together, let's take Uganda to the next FIFA World Cup. For every Now Special you buy, we will give 50 shillings to the Uganda Cranes 2026 fund. You will also get the chance to choose how the Cranes Cup Bowl contributions are spent. Now Special, official beer of the FIFA World Cup and official beer partner of the Uganda Cranes.
Alcohol is not for sale to persons under 18. Please drink responsibly.
Uganda's biggest tourism and travel trade show of the year is here again. The 8th edition of the Pearl of Africa Tourism Expo Poate 2024 under the theme Responsible Tourism will be taking place at the Speak Resort Convention Center, Munyonyo from the 23rd to the 25th of May 2024. It's your chance to connect with tourism and travel professionals from across the globe. Discover travel holiday deals, packages, and so much more. Visit www.poate.co.ug to register and be part of the event. The Pearl of Africa Tourism Expo, Poate, is brought to you by the Uganda Tourism Board.
UBC News Tonight. Thank you so much for watching and welcome back from the break. Ministry of Education and Sports has started regional consultations on harmonization of TVET qualification framework for the East African community. In the northern region, stakeholders engagement at Uganda Technical College, Lira, the Commissioner at TVET, Loy Muhwezi, reiterated that this will reduce on qualification disparities and widen the job market for produced professionals.
The development of a regional technical and vocational education and training TVET qualifications framework for East Africa will require member states to draft resolutions covering national interests in recognition of community objectives.
Equivalence of qualifications that are acquired throughout the TVET system. In East African region, some member states have already started awarding qualifications up to the PhD level, though of course in Uganda we are still awarding TVET qualifications up to a national higher diploma, but you'll find different countries right now at different stages.
The ongoing countrywide engagements target collection of ideas from different stakeholders, including trainers and employers of TVET professionals.
We are bringing together policymakers, local governments, and other policymakers. We are bringing together the TVET training providers, both private and public, to ensure that they input. And this will, first of all, give them the knowledge of knowing how Uganda is participating in East Africa.
Objectives for the regional TVET qualification framework include provisional access to the training opportunities, quality enhancement for TVET training, alignment of labor market demands for the region, among others.
They are concentrating on research, which is good, but the hands-on bit is completely lacking, and that now disadvantages Uganda. So we need to have now a streamlined qualification framework for TVET so that we have complementary education system where technologists complement scientists and engineers and scientists are also complementing scientists, so that our research, our good findings don't remain on shelves, but they are actually put into actual practice.
The engagement at Uganda Training College Lira had stakeholders from northern Uganda to contribute in designing TVET regional qualification framework,
which is to foster creativity and innovativeness in the East African community.
There is harmonization of the qualifications framework under TVET. We think this will open more doors for us, especially the trainers and also the trainees that will be coming.
From the skills they have acquired and the competence they have acquired, where they can fit and how they can interrelate with all other stakeholders within East Africa. So it provides them an opportunity for widening the job employment gaps within the region.
These efforts will pave the way for a vibrant and dynamic TVET landscape that will contribute to regional integration, sustainable development, and empowerment of citizens. Patricia Nandago and Abdul Nasir Luwama for UBC.
Road transport means have been named highest air pollutants in Uganda, which has contributed to about 30,000 annual deaths of air pollution related cases. This was revealed by Birirega Akankwasa, the Executive Director NEMA in Kampala during the awareness campaign of Air Quality Week set to begin from the 6th to the 10th of May.
Following World Health Organization's data, road transport is the leading cause of air pollution globally, with over 6.7 million annual deaths and 30,000 annual deaths in Uganda due to air pollution-related illness.
Is associated with 6.7 million deaths, most especially premature death. 6.7 million people are lost every year to poor air quality or to air pollution for that matter. That's not a very good statistic. If we compare with other things, malaria, for example, kills just 608,000 people. 608,000 people per year.
According to Dr. Kangwasa, air pollution compared to COVID-19, malaria, and accidents has been a threat over the years, yet attention and investment in air pollution control remains minimal.
So if we combine the HIV, malaria, war, all those combined, we would still not get the amount of death that air pollution is causing. That's how serious the matter is. COVID in total killed 6.9 million people, if you remember. 6.9 million people. And you saw the world was, up in arms and everything came to a paralysis because of 6.9 million deaths. And you saw what happened. But we acquired about 6.7 million deaths annually. We are taking it as, normal.
Kampala Capital City Authority, in partnership with ERCO, has guaranteed to install over 100 more air monitors around the city.
As we celebrate the Air Quality Awareness Week, I would also like to invite you all that through our digital platforms, you can be able to access and track the quality of air you breathe in most of the urban places in Uganda. We looked at the data set over the last 6 months in different cities where we have coverage in the country. And for the last 6 months between November and April, the average particulate matter across the different areas was fluctuating between moderate and unhealthy. Moderate means that if you are sensitive at air pollution, like Dr. Natanda has mentioned, if you have some existing conditions, you might need to minimize exposure, but it might...
Air quality monitoring, we need to know where the hotspots are. Okay? Where we've improved roads, we know what the impact will be. Have consolidated infrastructure. These investments government is putting and deploying. We've been getting about 46 billion every year for road development. That's equivalent to about 5 kilometers of roads. We have 2,100 kilometers of roads to deal with. That is definitely a drop in the ocean. Government has made a conscious decision with the help of the Presidential Directive to deploy about 200...
Later this week, NEMA is set to launch engine standards that are to be followed by all motor users in Uganda as a way of curbing the high air pollution rates. Marion Awori and Charity Marion Imunat for UBC.
Dr. Hamlet Kabshenga has vowed to appeal against the ruling by Judge Anne Mujenyi. In a ruling, Judge Mujenyi gave EMAC's advocates a leeway to represent Great Lakes Region University and Chief Code Social Enterprise Limited in the suit filed by Karuma Limited and 4 others against Dr. Hamlet Kabshenga.
The case was filed by Karuma Limited, Uganda Development Initiative, Protestant Church of Ipigim, Great Lakes Region University Limited, Child to Family Community Development Organization and Enterprise Limited, Chief Code, against Dr. Hamlet Kabshenga, founder of Chief Code. In the case, Karuma and 5 others are challenging Dr. Hamlet Kabshenga's move to claim ownership of Chief Code schools, including the University of Great Lake Regions in Kanungu District. However, during the last court sitting, when the case resumed for hearing, the court first had an application on how Marcus advocates came to represent Chief Code and how Onesnat Kwasa and Nyaushana Elena became the directors of Chief Code as well as Great Lakes Region University. The case before Judge Anne Mujenyi, court allowed Marcus advocates to represent Great Lakes Region University and Chief Code Social Enterprise Limited. In the ruling, court was of the view that Marcus advocates was lawfully instructed by the 2 plaintiffs to represent them, since they were still directors of the company. By the time the suit was filed, the defendant, Dr. Hamlet Kabshenga, vowed to appeal against the ruling.
So the ruling ignores the fact that Isaac Warukaga has no appointment from the company. The ruling further ignores the fact that even if he had instructions, the company has since withdrawn and appointed their own lawyers. The ruling further ignores the fact that people have performed an act of aggravated robbery and are using and manipulating judicial processes to try and make legal what is an illegality. It is a ruling we shall appeal, definitely, because the laws of Uganda provide for the protection of life and property. And this is an instance into which individuals in the foreign country, working through local agents, working through Max advocates, are seeking to sanitize an act of armed robbery.
Judge Mgenyi also directed the main suit to be set down for hearing on its merits.
And will stay the proceedings because under no circumstances could the judicial regime allow people to rob. It could have been robbing a bank. This was robbing a school, robbing 6 educational institutions, taking possession of them, and imposing illegal and offensive LGBT banners there. They failed to present any instrument of appointment, but she asserts that he was legally appointed, even when they faced a resolution disowning him, a resolution appointing an alternative lawyer. In
the main suit against Dr. Emerit Kabshenga, they raised a dispute over the ownership of schools, including Great Lakes High School, Nyamirama Parents Primary School, Kelima Parents Primary School, Lutenga Parents Primary School, Nyakabongo Parents Primary School, and Nyakatete Health Center 4, all situated in Kanungu District. Deborah Namamonde, UBC News.
Action Aid Uganda and partners have evaluated the conference of the parties to evaluation meeting convened to the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. Win Masiko, a climate and gender advocate, stressed the necessity of responsive strategies, effective implementation, and robust monitoring for climate action.
The conference of the COP2 is second meeting of the conference of the parties to the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change.
I'd like to thank our negotiators who are here in this room. Thank you for being humble enough to work with partners, for sharing your knowledge and resources with us, but also for taking in some of our recommendations and contributions to the important work that you're doing. I would like to thank the ministry for opening its doors for partners, for us to feel at home.
These meetings attracted international gatherings where countries discussed and negotiated actions to address climate change.
There was a specific measure of phasing down of unabated coal power, accelerating efforts towards zero-emission energy systems, transitioning away from fossil fuels, reducing non-CO2 emissions, especially methane, accelerating the reduction of emissions from road transport. So when you look at the actual document, you see that it gets into more detail to the extent that it starts to touch into some of the implementable actions.
Winnie Matsko, a climate and gender advocate, called for comprehensive reporting to track progress.
There are so many players in gender and climate change, in civil society, in the academia, in the ministry, but also one of the prominent activity we've done, we've put in place, we've carried out a gender and climate change vulnerability hotspot mapping, and we have, it's a digital approach.
Makai Okure, who was among the negotiators, shed light on Uganda's proactive stance in climate mitigation efforts through partnerships.
2 categories of targets were said to be achieved by the parties by the year 2030. And these categories of targets, one category is the sectoral targets, which targets 7 sectors. And the second category of targets is the dimensional targets. The sectors that were considered for targets were water, secondly food and agriculture, number 3 health. Health here, people have been pushing health, so that's not an achievement. Number 4 ecosystem, biodiversity. Number 5 infrastructure and human settlement. Number 6 poverty and livelihood. And lastly, culture and livelihood.
Participants emphasized justice and fairness, taking into account each nation's unique circumstances while advocating for increased transparency in climate actions. Sudat Kaye, UBC News.
Residents of Wachitaka in Jinja City have appealed for the intervention of the Jinja Deputy RCC to see a curb of the rising cases of thuggery in their area.
We have 33 Rihanna.
has been going on around this street. As security committee, we resolved that we are going to get a police post here around this area of Wachitaka, so that it helps to curb these thieves which come at night and invade the residents of this area. Then secondly, we have talked about, they wanted to know whether PDM money came. PDM has arrived, but we are going to change the strategy. We shall go to villages, identify the beneficiaries who are really the poor, instead of the individuals selecting their smaller beneficiaries, we will self-gain. So I am arguing that the community should be ready to receive us when we come to their villages, so that they select the beneficiaries themselves. The aim of this program was to educate our students about their country, about what is happening in this country, where the country came from, where it has reached and where it is going. And this helps also to train students how to defend their rights,
to develop that skill of loving their country. That is why we go through patriotism. We give them values, we give them knowledge, we give them skills to learn, to develop love for their country, love for themselves, love for their school, love for the environment, love for development.
But we have introduced patriotism teachers in their school. So parents, they have a child.
Abanyakampala na Uganda Yuna. Nobat Events and Awesome Entertainment present Ragey live in concert at Lugogo Cricket Oval on 10th May 2024. Tickets are 20k ordinary and 50k VIP, 1 million gold table and 2 million platinum table. Buy your discounted tickets off the Momo app at only 10k ordinary and 25k VIP. Come represent for Ragey. It's gonna be non-stop entertainment.
Gear up, grab your running shoes and join the race for life. Run 42, 21 or 5 kilometers to equip Kisoro Hospital's very first ICU. Then, after the finish line, groove all night at the ultimate dance showdown with DJs and performers from Uganda and Kigali. Secure your sport at virungamountainmarathon.org and be a part of history. Save the date, June 1st, 2024 at Shaza Ground, Kisoro Town. Race for a cause. Run for life.
UQSAF, a rural digital empowerment fund by the Uganda Communications Commission and partners, has trained women and girls on digital literacy in Awiri Sub-County, Dokolo North, Dokolo District.
Public as government steadily adopts technology in boosting public service efficiency, there is a growing concern of disproportionate access of ICT services in rural communities of Uganda.
Many Ugandans, especially the women, are being left behind. And that's why we've come on ground to the rural area to make sure that these people are also onboarded online. Because services, now for example, getting a tin, you have to do it online. It's no longer going to a government office.
The women's faces at the learning center lit up with curiosity and excitement as they unboxed their training smart tablets. This cohort consists of over 130 women and girls from Amwiri Sub-County, Dokolo District, and they are being taught basic digital literacy skills.
Ever since I was born, I've never used like iPad, but today I've got a chance even to touch an iPad. I learned how to open and see how the hubs are working, and trying to know how to use the email.
Zimba Women, Penda Capital, and IO Tech are UCC's implementing partners whose trainings are to be duplicated in 7 villages across 7 districts in the month of May.
We are right now in Dokolo,
we are going to go to Otuke. After here, we will move north to Kitugum, and then right after the population census, we'll come back to Zombo, Maracha, Nebi, and Koboko. These particular districts have been cherry-picked after we conducted a baseline study to understand the needs of the women in these areas. Baseline meaning that we came here and understood what are your needs as a woman in business or in your household. Do you have a smartphone? If you have a smartphone, what do you use it for? Do you access social media?
Uganda Communications Commission's Universal Service and Access Fund, UCUSAF, formerly Rural Communications Development Fund, was established in 2001 by the Uganda Communications Commission to implement development of rural communications and information and communication technology within the country.
First of all, language. There is a language barrier. Most of the services are provided in English. Yes, there is. Many people understand English, but it's still at a basic level. So there is need for many of these services online to be translated into their local languages. For example, we are here in Teso, so that needs to be translated into the languages that they speak here.
UCUSAF was majorly set up to contribute to the realization of universality in access and use of communication services in Uganda through establishment of communications projects in areas that are non-commercially viable. Wadulo Makanold for UBC News in Dokolo District.
We've hit refresh with Castle Lights. A premium new look. With the shiny silver label. An innovative cold indicator. A premium green neck label for a crisp and easy drinking beer. Fresh new look. Experience the fresh Newcastle Light.
The Uganda Cricket Association has this afternoon announced the squad that will represent Uganda at the upcoming 2024 ICC T20 World Cup in West Indies and USA. The 14-man squad includes players Juma Miyaji, Komas Chewuta, Afaz Ramjani, Riyazat Ali Shah, Ronak Patel, Roger Mukasa, Simon Sesazi, Henry Senyondo, Robinson Obuya, Fred Achelam, Bilal Hassan, Frank Nsuga, Kenneth Waiswa, Dinesh Nakrani, and Captain Brian Masaba. Traveling reserves will be Innocent Mwebaze and Ronald Rutaya. The team, currently in Sri Lanka on training tour, will face New Zealand, Papua New Guinea, Afghanistan, and hosts West Indies in Group C at the World Cup stage. The World Cup will run from the 2nd to the 29th of June 2024, with Uganda starting her campaign on 3rd June against Afghanistan. This is the first time Uganda will be appearing at the T20 World Cup. The Uganda badminton team has returned after a long spell of tournaments where they played to accumulate Paris 2024 Olympics qualification points. The players included Husna Kobugave, Tracy Naluwoza, Gladys Mbabazi, and Fadila Shamika to represent Uganda at the Africa Games in Ghana, winning a gold, silver, and bronze. The team proceeded to Europe for a couple of qualification tournaments and later to China for the 2024 Thomas and Ober Cup, where they represented Africa. They did not make the points for the Paris 2024 Olympics.
We are so happy that we managed to bring Uganda a gold medal that has made history, and also participated in the Thomas and Ober Cup finals in Chengdu that has also made history.
After the victory of Africa Games, the rest were not easy for us.
as players. We lost. We managed to try in some, but couldn't go far. We've gotten a lot of experience on court. First of all, we've been playing people who are very, very good. We've played people who are Olympians, who are former Olympic champions, those who are world champions, and they were really not easy to play against. So I think my experience has improved on court, and mentally I think I'm more.
The Thomas and Uber was a very good experience for us to learn and improve ourselves. Yeah, it was new for everyone because I think this was the most prestigious tournament I've ever played, the most prestigious, most luxurious, and it was the first tournament where I met a lot of top players.
St. Julian Setter clinched the championship title of the 2024 USSSA Games after humbling 10-man Amos College School in a 3-0 victory at Mpungu Arena in Masaka on Sunday evening. The one-sided final saw James Sekate with a brace and Simon Wanyama scoring the goals for St. Julian on their first attempt for the title. Amos tried to respond, but St. Julian was well organized at the back, holding on to their lead until the end. To reach the finals, St. Julian eliminated Bukedea Comprehensive on penalties, while Amos College knocked out holders St. Mary's Chitende. Other tournament winners were Isma Magala, Blessed Sacrament Chimanya, MVP, Hakim Masaba, Amos College, top scorer with 11 goals, and Dennis Mugerwa, St. Mary's Chitende, best goalkeeper. This is St. Julian High School Setter's first ever National Schools Football Trophy. 2023 holders St. Mary's Chitende beat Bukedea Comprehensive School 1-0 to take the third place. That brings us to all we had for you tonight. Thanking you so much for watching. My name is Michael Jordan Lukoma. On behalf of the whole team here, I wish you the best of the night and the week we start today. Bye-bye.
UBC, inspiring you.